Okay, hello there. This is Megan with Art Garden Oracle, and I am here to do KellyBear's hashtag, the 54321 tarot. I love this hashtag so much. I just feel like it's provided a great amount of like extra insight into all sorts of people's different practices, and I've gleaned so much helpful information, not only from like the spread part of the tag, but all the books that people are sharing and everything else. So this hashtag is 5 decks. That part was left really open-ended. 4 books, 3 spreads, 2 habits, and 1 piece of tarot advice. So the 5 decks I'm going to share, since we're allowed to kind of define this in any way we see fit, is 5 relatively recent deck acquisitions. I would say these are in the last 6 months that were inspired by fellow tarot tubers. And so I was going to share where I saw these and who shared them. So this one I saw on, let me make sure I got it right. I think I saw this on Joniki's channel, Catamancy Tarot. I want to say, gosh, it was either her or Meg at Rose Honey Ritual. So yeah, I have another deck kind of similar to this, the Granatea Tarot, that has these kind of, old illustrations, and kind of a similar layout with the card title and different keywords for the reversed and upright position. So these, yeah, just have like really cool upright reversed keywords on them. So anarchy and disorder, authority and stability. I should show who this is from. Sorry, this is True Oracle of Nostradamus, written by Travis McHenry, featuring new translations of Tarot de la Reine and Les Prophètes. Yeah, so just a really good little guidebook. Doesn't, let's see, I can't remember now. Yeah, a little bit about this deck. So this deck is kind of like an update to one that was created in the early 1900s, the Tarot de la Reine. Anyway, I think it's really cool. I think it has it goes with a lot of different things, and would look great with a lot of different things, anything from just like traditional RWS to Marseille. But yeah, I like these really kind of historic Oracle and Tarot decks. I'm really fascinated not only with different systems of divination outside of RWS and Marseille even, and Lenormand, but yeah, I'm interested in other cartomancy systems outside of those. But I'm really fascinated by like, yeah, how tarot began, what might have come before what we like truly definitively know about the history of tarot, and then yeah, just kind of how different things splintered and evolved like once the like 1900 hermetic practices came about with RWS and Thoth. So anyway, it's just a cool tarot. Like I said, I haven't worked with it yet. I got a little bit behind on working with decks and just kind of got overwhelmed by trying to work with too many at once. So this one's coming soon. It also just feels like a really great kind of winter deck. But yeah, this was a relatively recent one that came in the mail probably a couple weeks ago. Still in print as far as I know, and saw that on Joniki's channel. Did I show the backs? That's pretty simple, kind of cute backs. So that's one deck inspired by the community that I love. This one I'm really excited about. This is Horoscope Beline. This is also in the same vein as the True Oracle of Nostradamus, like a pretty historic oracle deck that's been used in France for a really long time. I found out about this deck from God, I should have written everyone's name down. I found out about, I think it's Marianne at Waves of Your Soul. She is a French speaking and does her videos in English, but native French speaker. member. I love her. I love her videos. I've always loved her videos. I love her French decks, and have bought a number of her French decks that she shared, just because I studied French for a very long time, so I can read French a little bit better than I can speak it. But this deck, there's another version of this. So this is the Horoscope Baleen. There's another, oh, it might just be called the Baleen Oracle. I feel like I'm forgetting, or just Baleen. And it has more of like that look of like the True Oracle of Nostradamus, I want to say. This one is, this was done by Grimoald, which is the same publisher of the Grandatea Tarot that I also got because of Marianne at Waves of Your Soul. I'll just show you really quickly. That's this one, the Grandatea. And this one's a vintage deck, which is super cool, but it's by Grimoald too. So yeah, this one is the one that, yeah, has a kind of similar feel to it to me as the Oracle of Nostradamus. So anyway, I love this one just because it's not, I love that historic style, but this one has like kind of a vintage feel to me, but that's a little bit more modern. I don't have any of the like kind of traditional Marseille decks. I only have, maybe I only have one or two Marseille decks that are more modern ones. I love those decks. I just haven't bought one yet. And I feel like this would go really well with some of the more traditional Marseille decks. It has that similar coloring. This one is in French and English. So, and the little white book that it comes with is in French and English too. I think it has, is this German in the back as well? So anyway, it's just a really cool oracle, and it's very, very accurate. I've only done one reading. This is, again, all of these are new, so I haven't worked with many of them very much. But the one reading I did with it a couple days ago was pretty exceptional. It works in a sort of similar way to Lenormand or some of the other divination systems. There's a Russian divination system that I have where it's can be really strongly impacted by the cards around it. But I feel like the book does a really good job of giving you hints on how some of those kind of cards next to each other associations would go. And then you can kind of pull your own meanings of how the cards show up next to each other from there. But yeah, I just like the graphic quality of it. I love the simplicity of it. I love the vintage colors. And I just know Waves of Your Soul, she was talking about how like prolific this is in France among tarot card readers or cartomancy readers. And yeah, it just feels like a really strong divination system. I know that doesn't make much sense, but it's just like, I felt it, yeah, just throwing down those first few cards when I first got it. This is was available on Amazon for a relatively reasonable price, shipped from France. And I was like, oh, you know, I was watching it and I was like, this will be here forever. It never once said like only 5 copies left or whatever. And then I went on recently just to find something I needed for the house. And it was like out of stock with no kind of order update info. And it totally freaked me out. And I was worried that it wasn't going to be available anymore because I do like this one better than the other Baleen Oracle. Just aesthetically. So I found it on Etsy for the same price it was on Amazon. So I think it's still available. Maybe it was just like an Amazon thing that it wasn't so available from. Okay, this guy is the Hermetic Tarot. This is mass market version. It's super affordable. This one, Thea at Garden Goddess Tarot, she talks about it all the time. I've always liked the look of it, but I never felt compelled to get it. This is the back here. Because I have the Tabula Mundi, which has, I have the Tabula Mundi and the SKT by Benabel Wynn Tarot, and there's so much esoteric information and hermetic information in both of those decks that I was like, I don't need the Hermetic Tarot, you know, like there's so much information I already have. And Thea talks about this one. She's talked about it a lot. It's one of her favorite ones. She uses, I think, still uses this one for her Deck and Walk, or used it for her original Deck and Walk. So yeah, I just kept thinking like, no, I'm fine. I don't need it. I don't need it. And while I love those other two decks, the imagery is really cool, but it's just really specific to the author's interpretation and not kind of directly linked to the Hermetic, like, I don't know, in a straightforward way, I guess, to me, related to the Hermetic information. Whereas this one just feels like much more straightforward and not so interpretive. And in that sense, a little bit easier for me to read, or if I don't read like intuitively whatever it says, the Little White Book is really great and really succinct, which the other two books aren't as much, to like where the imagery is coming from and, you know, what the other Hermetic associations are, which I really found helpful. So it has the Tree of Life information, it has the astrological information, and like a really pretty short and sweet write up on it. And of course it has like the Hermetic names for all the cards. It has the elemental association. So it just, I'm glad I got it finally, and I feel like if I don't use it by itself for the deck and walk, for my own deck and walk, then it'll help me interpret some of the more artistic, you know, decks or indie decks that I do have that I would use alongside this for the deck and walk. That's the Hermetic Tarot. Again, just got it. I haven't read with it yet. But yeah, it's more, I would say, probably not going to be like a reading deck so much for me. Not that it can't do that quite well, but will be something that I use alongside those like deep esoteric or Hermetic studies that I do alongside the deck and walk bit of things. This one, the Earth Blessings Oracle cards, is another new mass market deck. Yeah, I mean, the Boleyn technically is kind of like a mass market deck too. So 4 out of 5 of these are mass market. This one I saw on Meg's channel at Rose Honey Ritual, and I'd never even seen this before. It's a super affordable, great deck. The guidebook is really strong. Normally, I've kind of said this before, like affirmation decks kind of are a little cringe for me sometimes. This one doesn't bother me, and it's just so beautiful and simple. The backs represent these 4 different seasons, or the 4 different seasons, and that's kind of how the book reads too, and how, you know, the messages are organized. So, you know, this will be like a spring because it's a kind of a blossom card. So it's really kind of intuitively or well organized around the seasons. Some of them, you know, maybe this one not so much, but you can look and see that it's a fall card by the back. I was using this with a Flow Tarot, and it was really beautiful and like a really strong read together. But yeah, I have been really into photography decks lately. And there's something about, I think I resonate with what Meg was saying about like just needing like really calming cards, and nature to me is very calming, especially, you know, these beautiful kind of pictures of nature. So, yeah, it's just been a gentle deck. I have read with this one more than the other decks I'm showing so far, but I just, yeah, it's been a really strong reader and really calming when my, you know, at a time when life is feeling really, really intense and overwhelming right now. And there's some really beautiful indie deck that are photography based, kind of naturescape type oracles. And I've been, you know, I had a lot of them on my list, but all of them, you know, are just like a little bit expensive. And so I was kind of going back and forth and trying to figure out how to manage it. But this one, yeah, is just gorgeous. It has a good, I really like the quality. It's like a really matte, smooth, but it's not like super cheap feeling cardstock. But yeah, it's just a beautiful deck that's really earth-based and something that I just was really looking for in an oracle deck. Again, I love the Flow Tarot. It's awesome in that same way, but it's just, you know, very water based, which is fine for what that is, but I like having the earth side of things too, since I'm such like an earth sign person. And I like how short and sweet these are. Sometimes that's really, really helpful in what I need. So yeah, it's organized by season, which is great. And just has a really good little guidebook. So thank you to Meg at Rose Honey Ritual for pointing that one out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and this is the last one. So this is the Sibyl's Oraculum. I know I saw this, so I guess Janaki at Catamancy Tarot gets 2 thank yous for decks. So this is by Tiana Lee McCuller and artwork by Caitlin Foisey. And I had no idea this deck existed. I have said on, I mean, almost all of my, top decks or favorite decks or whatever. It was in my deck pairs video. It's in my favorite mass market decks. Tiana does the Hoodoo Oracle, and it's just one of my favorite tarot. She does the Hoodoo Tarot, one of my favorite tarots. And I love her writing. I love her take on that tarot. Caitlin's artwork maybe wasn't my aesthetic when I first, as what I would have defined it, but just using that tarot, I fell in love with it so much. So this literally just came in, so I know almost nothing about the Black Doves of Africa, but I just trust Tiana so much, and she does such a great job. And she's just such an authoritative voice that I'm excited to find out about it. So it is very glossy. My only beef with it is it's just glossy, sticky. It is mass market. There's the backs. It's very, Caitlin Foisey did the artwork, but it all feels like just ancient mosaics. And I'm sure there's probably, a why to that I haven't read into the guidebook yet to see it. But other than the super glossy, super shiny, super kind of sticky cardstock, which is different, the Hoodoo Oracle doesn't have this bout of cardstock, but yeah, I don't even care. It's such I'm excited. I love these creators so much together. I love the Hoodoo Tarot so much that I'm just excited about it in whatever shiny, sticky cardstock I can find. So yeah. So again, I can't tell you too much about any of these tarot because I haven't studied the history of them. I haven't worked with them in some cases at all. They're just things that other YouTube channels have had me really excited about, and I just thought that I would use that way to share kind of 5 new decks that were inspired by other creators. All right, 4 books. So I already talked about the Deccan Walk. So I study astrology as well as tarot. I study astrology kind of formally. And there aren't a whole lot of books about the decans of astrology. One of my favorite astrologers, Austin Coppock, wrote a really definitive guide to the decans. And it's out of print, and it's been out of print for a while. I know he's working on getting it back in print. So in lieu of being able to use that book to study the decans, not only for astrology, but also for tarot, I found T. Susan Chang's 36 Secrets. And I love her. She had a podcast with M.M. Moline, who's the creator of the Tabula Mundi that I was talking about already for my Deccan Walk. So yeah, this is just an amazing book. I did start a Deccan Walk this year and totally dropped it. I definitely got through Aries. I'm trying to remember. I got through Taurus. I want to say I dropped it very beginning of the summer. So I'm trying not to beat myself up about it. I know I'll come back to it. I know for a fact I'll start it again with Aries season 2024. But I hope to just start it. I feel like I'm just in this really chaotic time right now, but maybe November or December, I think I'll have a little bit of space to get back into my Deccan studies. So I used the first, 1/4 of this. But yeah, it's just a great book. It's definitely a great mix of history, of, really esoteric knowledge, but then also has just some really thoughtful, there's poems throughout it. There's just really thoughtful, like, read this, you know, in a particular decan, like, here's some good things to read or think about or resources. So it's just such a rich resource for a decan walk. And I know there's lots of people who like host decan walks, so there's lots of good information out there. But yeah, I think for like doing it on your own or really diving deep into it, this book is really amazing. So I wanted to share that. I was going to show the table of contents in case that's helpful. Let's see, I don't know. I'm working on getting my filming ratios correct, so hopefully this is showing up. So anyway, yeah, all the decans obviously broken down by chapter, and then lots of just supplemental information in there. The next book I'm going to show is this totally weird book, Around the Tarot in 78 Days. This is the book that I used to, by Marcus Katz and Tally Goodwin. This is the book I used to really deeply study the RWS, kind of my first go round. I've had deeper studies since this book. And it is such, like, if I saw this on a bookshelf, I'd be like, no, I'm not, that's not the book for me. I tried The Easiest Way to Learn the Tarot Ever by, last name White. I can't remember his first name. Still a great book. I'm not saying it's not a great book, but nothing just really stuck for me. Nothing kept me like coming back to study. And this book did for some reason. I was able to get it off of, like, I was able to check it out by the library at first. And I kind of got it just like thinking I wouldn't like it at all. And I immediately connected with it and then bought it used online somewhere. So it basically has its own kind of quirky system of like how it teaches you the cards. So it'll be like a couple major arcana cards and then a couple of minor cards. But it has, you know, the numerology, the astrology, the Kabbalah. It has affirmations, meditations, but it just kind of has these, it's almost like you're participating in a little story as it goes along. And there's these gates that you kind of do these rituals with at the end of a few, you know, you study a few cards and then it has these gates that you're supposed to do for like a week at a time before you go on to the next series of cards. And like it broke down each card by career, health, relationship, travel, and lifestyle. And then I just really like these like little individual sections at the very end. You're blocking this card by, connect to your card. It kind of has this little bit of like what the card would say if it was talking to you. And then of course a bunch of keywords. And for whatever reason, yeah, this book just really worked for me for getting through all 78 cards in a really deep study. And so it will always hold a place on my shelf just because, yeah, it worked and I would never have thought it would work. So this is the gates. These are the gates that I was telling you about where it kind of has you do spreads basically. So each gate is some sort of spread where you're working through all the cards that you've studied so far. The only negative I would really say about this is that there's a lot of typos. So not necessarily in the like grammar of things, which is good because that's what actually annoys me the most when like the grammar or a bunch of things are misspelled. That's not where the typo is. It's like they created this structure that doesn't make much sense to me, but it worked for me of like how they're breaking down which cards you're learning and when. But it was like they lost track of their own structure. So they'll like reference something and say that it's in one area and it's not, but it was never something like that you actively needed to go to that page to sort out, you know? So it never got in my way and it was never annoying to me, but I will point that out briefly. Oh my God. I just forgot. Oh, well, that's okay. I forgot this isn't the books I was going to share. I was going to share books from decks that I was about to do studies on. because I just looked down and I was like, why do I have so many books down there? Oh well, this is fine too. This is a brand new book. I got it as a result of the hashtag, the 54321 tarot, and I'm so excited about it that I just wanted to share. So this is by Andy Matzner. It's a huge book, so I know it's not showing up in my video. And I don't know, yeah, it's not gonna let me zoom out just at this moment. But each card is broken up with a series of quotes, which I have loved all of the quotes that kind of refer back to some aspect of the card. And then it's got like 40 plus or minus journaling questions for every single card, which I just find amazing. This one, yeah, 59 journaling questions just for judgment. And I really like the questions that it asks based on the card. And this is an element that Tiana McQuillar does in her Hoodoo Tarot book, which is one of the reasons I like it so much. So, you know, maybe it's just like a me thing that I really like journaling questions as a way to deeply explore the tarot. But yeah, it's a wonderful book that I'm just really excited about. I don't remember which. I've watched a lot of these videos, so I can't remember. I've seen it more than once as a recommendation on these guys. Oh man. Yeah, I was totally going to show my study books, but that's okay. I won't do it. I'll do it this way. So my fourth book, Tarot as a Way of Life, a Jungian Approach to the Tarot. This is by Karen Hamaker Zondag. I'm sure I'm totally mispronouncing her name. But this book is really cool. It's same thing. It goes into the individual cards and gives a lot of information around the cards. But what I like the most, and of course it's gonna, because it's young, it's gonna talk about a lot of the hero's journey element in the tarot. But what I love is she's clearly a practicing tarot reader, and she offers a ton of advice and like experiences from each card, like as it showed up in readings that she's done for clients. And I really found that super helpful. That's a way that we kind of study astrology, is like, okay, here's astrology, here's the archetypes. But then my teacher will just go into these real life examples all the time of like, this is how it shows up in the real world. And I feel like this book is a version of that for tarot that is super helpful, not only for me, being able to see the archetypes of tarot in the real world, but also just kind of see different ways that it can show up working with clients or working with friends or just working with myself. So yeah, it's a really cool book with like a lot of really practical tarot in the real world, stories and anecdotes and stuff. So that's my favorite part of it. I haven't read the whole thing. I should clarify. I haven't even used this back part of it for like looking at how she talks about the cards individually. So like I haven't done a reading and used this to reference it, but I will as I use this book over the next 6 months when I'm going to study with it. So anyway, yeah, that's my last book that I'm really excited about and why. So kind of 4 different books for 4 very different uses, all tarot related. Okay, 3 is 3 spreads. So what I'm going to show for the spreads is actually another resource I found online. So this is Spread a Little Magic. Oh, no, that's not what it is. Sorry. Hand Me That Pencil is the shop on Etsy where you can download this book if you're interested. She creates really sweet oracle cards too. I think she's in either New Zealand or Australia. I think it's New Zealand. But this is a book of just like tons of spreads, like all of these spreads. And then it's not only just like 52 spreads, because like the single card readings, there's whatever 15 different single card ideas for how to pull a single card. And then the same is true for like the 3 card spreads. She has it's 3 card spreads, but she has like 25 different ideas. So this is kind of set up like a workbook, like you print it off and you can kind of write it into it like a journal. I haven't done that yet just because I usually write in my own journal, whether I'm doing a spread or whether it's just like a daily pull. So I haven't used this or like set it up as a workbook. I've just set it up as something almost like I can't figure out what spread to do. So I'll pull this out to help me. So I was just going to show you some of my favorites in case you wanted to use them. So this is the easy way or hard way spread. So show me the easy way, pitfall of the easy way, show me the hard way, benefit of the hard way, which I've used that spread quite a bit. Let's see. I've used, this one. So when I was doing my like deep study of the tarot, it used to drive me crazy because he has you like, you know, pull out just the wands or put the major arcana in order. And so I was constantly like shuffling the whole deck and then having to resort it and shuffling it and resort it. But that made me really efficient at doing that. And so I actually came to like kind of separating out the suits sometimes for different reasons, or separating out the major arcana for different reasons. So I actually like the spread. It would have annoyed me before I really deeply studied RWS, but yeah, it's the power I need. So you break out the 4 suits and it just kind of gives you like from the 4 different kind of realms, like, yeah, what strength, what do I need to strengthen, or what do I need to focus on, or something like that. So I really like that idea in a spread. I haven't seen that very often. Let's see. Oh yeah, so this is just like a goal, like kind of like a goal or planning. So like I want to achieve this, or I want to get here. So this is just a spread that gives me, it's a really good opportunity for like, I'm trying to make a really big effort or change somewhere in my life. And it creates a really great journaling spread for like reaching that goal, you know, some pitfalls, what I think I need, what I actually need, and all of that kind of stuff. I know I'm showing more than 3. I just want to show 2 more really quick. This one, I've had a really hard time finding a good relationship spread that I like. And I really like this one a lot. I've had a really hard time finding a good relationship spread. So this one works really well. I've kind of just relied on the Modern Love tarot deck for relationship stuff because I just think it's such a good relationship deck. And Ethany does have some good spreads in there for relationship, but just like other than working with that deck specifically for relationships, I've had a hard time finding a relationship spread that's worked well for me. So this is one I like. And then the last one I want to show quickly is the year ahead. So I know a lot of people do this, but it's just a great spread to do at the new year, or you could even do it for like a 6-month check-in. So you could do January to July, like what has this year been like, and then what will the next half of the year look like. So it's just a really good spread for that. I also, it's not pictured here, but because I study astrology, a really great spread too is using a similar kind of layout as this, but using it for the 12 houses. So, you know, this would be the first house, second house, third, fourth, fifth, and then pulling a card. In a similar way, you could look at it for the year ahead, or just kind of like, you know, what is going on in these 12 houses of my astrology that I need to like focus on or look at, or you know, and then if you are really into astrology, kind of looking at where the planets are within those houses and then adding that layer on top of the reading you do. So yeah, the year ahead, or looking at the 12 months of the year, or the 12 astrological houses is another favorite spread that I use all the time, just to kind of like marry my tarot and astrology together, because astrology for me is very much like a yeah, like using the planets as tarot cards almost. And especially in horary astrology, which I'm studying, is very much like an astrological practice that has a lot of feel to me to tarot. So let's see, 2 habits or paraphernalia. So the first is just kind of simple. I know a lot of people have already shared similar things, but I always kind of clear my space. I try not to be really precious with tarot stuff. Like I got really stressed out for a while about like cleansing my decks perfectly and like spending all this time doing special things with my deck before I even touch it, or having to do an interview with every single tarot deck I have before I start using it. And that stuff kind of stressed me out. And so what I found is, if I just like hold my deck and just kind of like connect it to my heart space, or just, hold it and kind of feel its energy, if you can feel those sorts of things, or, that helped me so much to just like calm down my attitude with, and like my relationship with tarot, and feeling like it had to be this certain perfectly magical thing. But one thing I always do to some degree, I don't feel like I have to do it when I first get a tarot deck, but I do use a lot of like purifying things to just kind of clear out my space. Like, I live in a very small house where my tarot is right next to our home office, which is in our bedroom, which is like right next to where the kids play really loudly in the living room. And there's just a lot of life happening in my house all the time. And I've created a few, like I have a little sacred space, an altar in my room, and I have a sacred space in my art space where I make art. But yeah, just because I do like to keep tarot like where I live day in and day out, because I just use it as a resource to kind of check in or calm down or meditate throughout the day. It is just around a lot of crazy life all the time. So I have selenite everywhere. I just have like these really simple little selenite sticks, which I put by our beds for sleep. But I also have all over my altar, and I'll often even use it like as like if I'm propping up a tarot card, I'll use the selenite to prop it up. And I think I just found these you can buy them in bulk. They definitely are at my local gem shop. They're on Amazon too. And then, I just use crystal. I mean, obviously I use crystals all the time. I have Septarian here and Moonstone and Fire Agate. But yeah, I have like a selenite crystal bowl to cleanse my crystals on a regular basis. You can do it in the moonlight. There's a lot of different ways to cleanse that I'm sure most people know about. And then I use sage a lot. I use sweetgrass also. Sweetgrass grows here. I actually have some in my garden. I should have brought it out to show. But this is white sage that I actually grew in my garden, and I'm really proud of it because I overwintered it last winter and put it back outside this summer, and it's still going strong and is like way bigger than it was when I first started growing it. And of course, like, you can use anything to clear your space. Sound works, intention works. I mean, there's a billion things that work. Just regular old sage, regular old incense. Some people make essential oil sprays, which I've done that too. That works really well, depending on if you're really sensitive to smell. But yeah, just like little things to make it your space feel sacred. But like on the flip side of that, I also, if I just am really limited on time, but I really want to just pull a card for contemplation or meditation, I will often skip cleansing the space. It's just something that, like, I feel like if I'm doing it every so often, that feels pretty good too. The second bit of paraphernalia I'll show looks like a bunch of garbage, but it's not. So I have tarot kind of all over the place. I have multiple altars. I have tarot in my creative space, tarot at my altar, tarot at my desk. And I love doing my pulls, but I also love spending some time with the cards that I pull and like looking back on them the next day, or looking at them for a few days and just kind of reflecting on, however many cards I pulled. And, if you're laying all that out on a desk multiple days in a row, everything gets crowded. So, there's all sorts of like wood burner tarot card holders for altars and stuff that you can buy relatively cheaply now. There's some like laser cut ones and laser cut wood holders and stuff like that. But just because I'm always looking for like a little cheap hack for that sort of thing. I made these a bunch of different kinds of holders. So this is just air dry clay. I saw Johnny on her channel. I think she made some in like a ceramics class that she actually wood fired, but air dry clay is like really affordable. You don't need a kiln. It just dries in the air, and they make all sorts of awesome glazes for air dry clay now that you can get online or at craft stores that will make them like really hard and water resistant. So if you just like I've done this plenty of times where I made something out of air dry clay and I water a plant next to like a candle holder or something I made out of air dry clay. And if it gets wet, it will just like turn into goo. So you do have to put some sort of sealant on it if you want it to be impervious to water. But, you know, some of these are just kind of like painted. I painted this with acrylic paint, no decoration. This one I like put a little like, you know, goddess symbol on. I have this other one on my altar. It has my fairy card on it. It's just like I splattered some gold paint on. So I've made a bunch of these little guys. And the nice thing about air dry clay is you can kind of like, you know, really make it special to whatever space you need. So if you have a space where you do 3 cards all the time, you know, or have your Mary altar or goddess altar or some, you know, astrology altar or something, like you can make them longer and hold as many cards as you need. So it's really practical and handy and really affordable and really easy to personalize. So I have these all over the place. I also have like a little circle one. Let me see if I can find it. Oops. Yeah, so like this one I haven't even painted. I meant to, but I just never got around to it. But this is just like a little circle one. And even for these Mysteries of the Black Madonna, which are pretty chunky cards, it'll hold it upright. I mean, this one's a little topsy-turvy, so. But yeah, so I have those all over the place just to hold my cards upright to create a little bit more room. And then this is another example of just a cheap piece of wood scrap that I had laying around. I meant to like sand it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. But we cut this down like a third of the way, maybe a half of the way in, a whole like line of it. And I have these moon oracle cards that I pull. I think is it Carolyn Astrop? I forgot her name. She did the Radiant Sun, I think, astrology deck. She has a moon deck and she did the elemental tarot too. So anyway, there's 3 cards for that one, and that's what I use this for. It holds, I mean, I could hold 4 or 5 cards too. So yeah, I have these for my deck and walk. This one I use for my moon cards, where I put them, the moon card, like the phase of the moon, the mansion that it's in, which is kind of the system she did, and then the sign that it's in. I meant to like go back and wood burn into this. I just haven't got around to it. It's like one of my craft projects that's still waiting. So I made like my own crystal grid where I used the wood burner to do a crystal grid and some plywood. So anyway, just lots of like affordable ways to display your tarot if you are like me and you just kind of have tarot cards laying over every surface. It started getting in the way in our small house, and also I was just worried about them, my cards getting damaged, especially when I leave them out on an altar for like an extended period of time. So that's all really handy. I also have like a little metal board on above my desk. And I got some of these magnetic clips from the dollar store. And so that's another way I kind of still display tarot. Like I've been pulling some Celtic cards for the month. And I'll like just hook this onto the little, I think I got the metal. I don't want to pick up my phone because it's kind of a mess, but I got a little metal sheet from the dollar store too. And I tack that up on this, kind of message board above my desk, and then I like magnetize cards onto that. So lots of little just like ways I keep my tarot cards on display without taking up our entire house. So those are my 2 paraphernalia. And then my tarot advice is, you know, I've already talked about like keeping tarot accessible and not stressful. Like ideally it should be something that's fun and relatively easy and something you find joy in. But recently I have been noticing, I would say this has been going on for maybe like a month or 2, that a lot of my tarot pulls like weren't kind of hitting home or weren't giving me very much clarity on some of the things I was asking about, or like I just started feeling like, gosh, I'm putting a lot of energy into tarot, but I don't feel like I'm getting a lot of clarity from it. I'm just getting some kind of blah answers, or answers that I don't feel like dig into the heart of the question, or things I'm not able to journal on or reflect on as much as I feel like my tarot practice once felt like. And I am taking astrology. I've been studying astrology for a couple years now with Elenbaas. If you are interested in astrology, he has an amazing YouTube channel with like manageable content. He has like 20-minute videos every day, and just really excellent content. It's just like astrology with a ton of soul and a ton of philosophy in it. So I highly recommend his channel and his astrology talks and his classes too, if you really want to take some classes. He's amazing at working on sliding scale payments with people and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm taking his horary class right now, which is very much kind of a way to use astrology as you would a tarot, of asking a question, a very pointed question, and then interpreting the planets to answer the question. And he was talking about approaching the oracle, which the oracle is, you know, astrology. It's the planets, it's the energy, the divine wisdom behind it all. The oracle is not the astrologer or the tarot reader. They're the person interpreting the oracle. So he was talking about the importance of approaching the oracle with, you know, really careful consideration, thought, preparation, and a sense of reverence. And he's very clear in my interpretation of this in my tarot practice, since he mentioned it a couple weeks ago, is not like only go to the oracle if you're serious, you know, only pull out your tarot cards if you're serious. Because I think the oracle like wants us to practice tarot and wants us to play and wants us to ask questions to just get better at interpreting, and wants us to read cards for our friends and wants us to have a good time. But I also think as a practice, sometimes we can get kind of overly manic with it maybe, or overly even just start to turn it into something that we're putting less and less thought behind. And in cases like mine, where all of a sudden I felt like I just wasn't feeling the connection or getting the answers or the clarity from tarot that I once did, I just kind of realized like, oh, I've really taken some of the reverence out of the questions I'm asking and the way that I approach doing a tarot reading. And so, yeah, it was just a good, like, you know, everything, it's that temperance, right? Like balancing the practice all the time, and like not making it so serious that you never do it, but also not making it so frivolous that you're not getting the wisdom that that you could from the practice. And so, you know, reflecting in ancient times, you know, like the oracle, before going to the oracle, people would fast, they would cleanse themselves, they would bathe, they would do a long pilgrimage, you know, like before going to the oracle of Delphi, like you had to be prepared, you had to really like sit with your question and meditate on with your question for a really long time, because it was like this special thing, you know, that you don't get to just like ask 100 questions. You have to be really clear and prepared with your question in order to get a clear answer. And as Adam was kind of encouraging us to do that with our clients and help them through preparing of a question process for horary astrology, I just really like took that wisdom to my tarot practice. And again, just kind of reflected on the fact that I have, while I think it's great to use tarot as like a quick meditation or a quick focusing practice or a quick quiet practice, or, you know, I think it's totally fine to just like enjoy the artwork and look at your fan deck or look at your like deck that you find beautiful. In terms of like really approaching tarot with my questions in a really focused, like reverent way, that was something that has been missing from my practice lately. And, you know, my life is going 900 miles per hour right now, and if I really want the clarity and the assistance from the oracle that I need, you know, I have to find a way, as busy as my life feels right now, to bring a little bit more reverence and clarity back into my practice and what my question is. So I don't know if that's so much advice, but just like sharing something that has hit me really hard lately with my tarot practice, and sharing it in case it's helpful to you too. So that's my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you so much for listening. I appreciate you being here. I had about 100 technical problems today, so hopefully I can put everything back together. Getting interrupted a bunch. Yeah, I would love it if you would like or subscribe. If you enjoy the content, that really helps me keep going, and yeah, it helps me kind of continue to make content and want to make content. I did just do a hashtag top 10 deck pairs that some people are participating in right now, so I definitely welcome you into that. VR, if you would like to share. There aren't really any rules about it, other than 10 or less deck pairs that are your favorites. And it can be Oracle, or Tarot Oracle, or whatever kind of, however you put 2 decks together is fine. Yeah, thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope you got a little bit of something out of this video, because I've been enjoying watching them so much. So big thanks to KellyBear for starting it out. All right, talk to you soon. Bye.